Hi guys, in today's video, we're going to use the Data Protection API to protect OneDrive. Let's get started. So first and foremost, what's the difference between the Data Protection API and Data Protection Inline? So my previous video, I did Data Protection Inline using a OneDrive rule. That's all the data moving back and forth that goes through the Cato POP. Remote users, users behind the Cato socket. With the Data Protection API, we're protecting it no matter who you connect from, because we're actually using the API to connect directly to OneDrive in this case, to be able to inspect that traffic and look for malicious behavior and inspect for certain types of data profiles, credit cards, or whatever you set up that you want to inspect for inside your OneDrive. Okay, so to set up the connector for the Data Protection API, we'll go out to Resources and we'll look at integrations. You can search for it here. You can search for OneDrive. You can search OneDrive for Business. I already have mine set up, so I'm going to go straight to Data Protection APIs to show you how this works. First thing you need to do is build a new connector. If you don't have that, there's other videos on how to set that up. It's really easy. Go to New Tenant and walk through those steps. In this case, I already have my connector for the parent connector for Microsoft 365. So now I'm going to go to Microsoft OneDrive, select the connector tenant, name it, and then add the read-write permissions, and then hit save, and then authorize those permissions, and then you're connected. So that's to be able to set up the actual integration directly with OneDrive so the Data Protection API can start working. So now, where do we set up the rules? So if we go to Security, and we go down to App and Data API, you can enable it, and here's my data protection rules. So the data protection rules I have here for social security numbers and credit cards on my OneDrive. It's looking at different content profiles. I have a number of them for testing, but you can add the appropriate ones you want. There's different data types and profiles that are here that you can inspect for and look for if you want. I have the action of quarantine. You can go monitor or block. You can create an event. So different types of ways to set up these rules around the data protection API. The threat protection is that's where you're actually going to set up your quarantine details. I'll have separate videos on this, but you can basically go to new here and start to select that connector and build the quarantine threat protection rules you want for OneDrive or SharePoint. But let's stick to just the rules we have set up here in the data protection and app and data API. So I'm looking at credit card numbers that are in my OneDrive, and I'm using the data protection API. Let's go out to the monitoring dashboard and see what that looks like. So here I'm going to Security, Data Protection API, and you can see I have the SharePoint lab test, and then I have the social security numbers on SE2142 on Microsoft OneDrive. There's some quarantine behavior, so we're actually quarantining those files using the API. We're telling OneDrive, hey, we've seen credit card numbers. We need to quarantine these files, so it's going to quarantine those. What are the violations? These are the file types, and there's those data profiles that I was showing you, and here's the actual user. If you want more data on these, you can click on any of these and go view events. I already have some of the events open here. You open the plus sign, you can see the event. You can see it's quarantined. There's the user's name. Here's the subtype. This is we're using the API protection. There's a full path. There's username, and then this is the actual file name of the data that had the credit card number in it at this point. All right, guys, thanks so much. I hope this was helpful. Hey guys, in today's video, we built a OneDrive rule using the Data Protection API. We reviewed how to set up a OneDrive connector. We talked about data protection rules, and we built one for credit card inspection, and then we validated that rule in the Cato management application and viewed the events associated with our rule. All right, guys, thanks so much.